Hello, little explorers. Welcome to the magical world of heroes. Have you ever wondered who the greatest heroes in history are? They're not just people who fought battles or wore capes. They're people who changed the world with their ideas, their kindness, and their courage. One sunny day, the funny wise man, a Hoja, was walking in the town. Some of his neighbors came up to him and asked, "Hoja, where is your donkey?" The Hoja stopped and thought for a moment. Then he gave him a big smile and said, "My donkey? Oh, he is very, very smart. He threw me off his back and decided to go back home all by himself." Everyone laughed and laughed because the Hoja always had the funniest and cleverest answers. Hello, kids! Today we're going on a fun trip back in time. Are you ready to learn about someone really funny and wise? His name is Nasreddin Hodja. He is a man everyone knows and loves because his stories make us laugh and teach us important lessons. Let's discover his life together. Who was Nasreddin Hodja? Nasreddin Hodja was born a very, very long time ago, in the year 1208, in a small village called Hortu. Today, this place is part of Eskişehir in Türkiye. When he was a child, he was curious, playful, and full of questions, just like you. Little Nasreddin loved learning new things. His father was an imam, so he often read books to him and told him wonderful stories. Because of this, Nasreddin Hodja grew up loving to read, think, and explore the world around him. Later on, Nasreddin Hodja and his family moved to another town called Akşehir. There, he grew up, went to a school called a madrasa, and learned many new things. Nasreddin Hodja didn't just become smart, he was also very quick thinking and always cheerful. That's why people loved being around him. Nasreddin Hodja is a famous and legendary person. He was a very wise man and also a funny hero who lived long ago during the time of the Anatolian Seljuk state. People remember him because his stories teach lessons while making everyone laugh. During Nasreddin Hodja's life, people loved listening to his funny stories. Hodja always knew how to fix problems by making everyone smile. One day, his neighbors asked him, "Hodja, where is the exact center of the world?" Nasreddin Hodja smiled, put his stick into the ground, and said, "Right here." The neighbors were surprised. "But Hodja, how can you prove that?" they asked. Hodja quickly answered, "If you don't believe me, go ahead and measure it." Everyone laughed because Hodja always had a clever answer. Hodja's smart and funny answers made everyone laugh, but they also helped people stop and think. His stories were not just silly, they taught important lessons too. So, do you know what made Nasreddin Hodja so special? He didn't just tell jokes to make people laugh, he also taught important lessons. In every story, he reminded people about being honest, sharing with others, and being kind. One day, as Hodja was walking home from the market, he was carrying a sack of flour. His neighbors asked, "Hodja, what are you doing?" Hodja smiled and said, "I'm putting a little wisdom into the flour sacks." What he really meant was, always remember to use your wisdom in everything you do. Throughout his life, Nasreddin Hodja was both a teacher and a good friend to everyone. He talked to people with kindness, humor, and wisdom. Even today, when we listen to his stories, we laugh, we think, and we learn important lessons about life. That's why Nasreddin Hodja is loved by everyone, children and adults alike. Well, kids, How about listening to a few funny and smart jokes from our wise teacher, Nasreddin Hodja? Are you ready? Then let's begin. Hodja's clever answer. One day, a neighbor asked Hodja, "Hodja, how many stars are there in the sky? Can we count them all?" Hodja smiled and said, "Of course you can, but only if you first finish counting all the stones on the ground." Everyone started laughing. Hodja always gave clever answers that made people both laugh and think at the same time. A life lesson from Nasreddin Hodja. One day, Nasreddin Hodja wore old, torn clothes and went out to eat. Because his clothes looked messy, nobody paid attention to him. So Hodja went back home, changed into his finest kaftan, a long, shiny, decorated coat, and returned. This time, everyone welcomed him happily and gave him the best seat. Hodja sat down, lifted the sleeve of his fancy kaftan, and said, "You gave the food to my kaftan, not to me. Come on, kaftan, eat! Eat, kaftan, eat!" Everyone was surprised and learned an important lesson. We should care about a person's heart, not their clothing or appearance. Nasreddin Hodja. My heart couldn't accept this. One day, Nasreddin Hodja went to the town market on his donkey. He bought many heavy things, books, apples, lemons, and put them all into a big sack. Hoja lifted the sack onto his own back and then climbed onto his donkey. Some villagers saw him and asked, "Hodja, why are you carrying the sack on your back?" Hodja smiled and said, "What can I do? The poor donkey is already carrying me. I couldn't make it carry the heavy sack, too." Everyone laughed, because Hodja always had a funny way of teaching kindness. The cauldron gave birth. One day, Nasreddin Hodja asked his neighbor to borrow a big cauldron. When he finished using it, he put a tiny pot inside the cauldron and took it back. The neighbor looked confused and asked, "What is this tiny pot?" Hodja happily said, "Good news! Your cauldron gave birth." The neighbor was very pleased and said, "Wonderful!" He took both the cauldron and the tiny pot. A little while later, Hodja borrowed the cauldron again. But this time, days passed and he didn't return it. The neighbor finally came to Hodja's house and said, "Hodja, where is my cauldron?" Hodja sighed sadly and said, "Oh dear, your cauldron has died." The neighbor was shocked. "Hodja, how can a cauldron die?" Hodja answered right away, "You believe that a cauldron could give birth, but you don't believe that it can die?" The neighbor realized Hodja was teaching him a lesson about being greedy, and Hodja returned the cauldron with a smile. Nasreddin Hodja's jokes have been bringing laughter to children and adults for centuries. But every joke holds a hidden life lesson. By listening to these stories, we both have fun and learn to be good people. Nasreddin Hodja was both incredibly intelligent and incredibly funny. He would first make people laugh, then make them think. His jokes always held a moral. That's why Nasreddin Hodja embodies the humor and intelligence of the Turkish nation. He is known and loved not only in Türkiye, but also in countries like Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan. Nasreddin Hodja passed away in 1284 in Akşehir, which is in today's Konya in Türkiye. But even though he is no longer with us, his funny jokes and wise words have never been forgotten. Even today, we still laugh, learn, and think when we hear his stories. So kids, did you enjoy Nasreddin Hodja's jokes? He wasn't just a wise man. He was a cheerful teacher who made people happy and taught them important lessons. If you want to be smart, kind, and joyful like him, always keep learning, asking questions and thinking. And if you want more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. See you in our next fun and educational story. Goodbye, kids.